Hey, I'm Dahlia. Welcome back to my channel, Get On Top with Dahlia, where I take you through my business, investing, and personal finance strategies to help you get on top financially. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that I've not really seen anyone cover. I've seen so many payday routine videos for people that are in employment, getting the same amount of money every month from the same employer, and what to do when that money comes in. But I've never seen a video for freelancers or business owners that don't have the luxury of knowing exactly how much money they're getting every month. For the millions of freelancers and business owners out there like you and I that don't have the luxury of this kind of regularity, those payday routines aren't really relevant to us. I've been doing freelance work and running my own business for the past 15 years, and I've created some habits that I thought would be really useful to share with other people who want to structure their paydays better or who are just starting out freelancing and not sure how to approach this. So now, instead of waiting for a salary day that doesn't exist, I've built a freelancer payday routine that keeps me on top of my finances no matter when the money lands in my account. Even though freelance income can be unpredictable, you can get a rough idea of your annual salary. I find generally that the more routine and stability that you can give yourself as a freelancer, the less ups and downs the freelance world is going to give you. What I do is I take my total salary over the last 2 to 3 years and then use that to get a monthly average that I then use as a guideline. This gives me a pretty good estimate of what I usually earn a month, even if the exact timing changes. If you're just starting out, it's going to take a little bit of time to build that data, but it's worth it. It can help you plan, save, and budget like someone on a steady paycheck, but just with a little bit more flexibility. If you're just starting out, then I recommend that the percentages that I'm going to give you in the next section are used on a paycheck by paycheck basis. Now, I'm using the paycheck term here metaphorically, as you'll most likely be receiving that money into your bank account. The next step after working out your average monthly income is to get all of your client payments to go into one account. I have one main account that all of my client payments land into, which is my income account, and I never spend directly from it. So I have a separate account that is for my rent and bills, and then another account which is for my spending. You may have a bank account that lets you separate out into separate pots. So for example, you can receive all your money into your main account and then separate money out for rent and bills, for tax, and for other expenses and spending money. This way, by separating your income out into different pots within your account, you can see clearly how much money you have allocated for each thing. The next thing you do is really important, and that's dividing up your income. So we need to work out the percentages that you need to allocate towards each type of expense that you have. Looking at this from the viewpoint of your monthly average pay is also a really good way to assess your affordability for monthly expenses such as rent and bills. The very first thing that I do is cover off my essentials. So I will always put aside money first for my rent, mortgage, bills, and food, as they are my basic living costs and I want them sorted straight away. And so that way, even if another client pays late, I know that my essentials are already covered, and this gives me a lot of peace of mind. And honestly, that feeling of security is priceless when your income isn't predictable. Now, your monthly non-negotiable living expenses should not be more than around 40% of your monthly salary. If you've never worked out your total monthly expenses, now's a great time to do that so you can have a really clear picture of your finances. If these are over 50% of your monthly income after tax, I would consider that to be living slightly beyond your means. So you'd want to look at measures you can put in place to lower your baseline living expenses. If you don't know the exact total of these, I recommend that before you do anything else is that you go through all your accounts and bills and figure this out. Without having a clear picture of your finances, it's really impossible to plan for your financial future. The next thing I do, but actually I do these kind of simultaneously, is what everyone really tells you to do, which is to pay yourself first, and that is putting 10% into savings. As a freelancer, that should be an absolute non-negotiable for having stability in your life, always paying yourself first. It is so important to create a savings buffer. But especially when your income is unpredictable, having that cushion and knowing that you are fine financially for the next 3 to 6 months is the best insurance policy that you can have. If you don't have any savings, I would make this the number one priority until you have a number that you know can comfortably cover your living costs for 3 to 6 months. This is going to give you so much peace of mind knowing that if any emergencies come up, that you're covered. And also that you're not getting into more debt or scrambling to find the money if an emergency does come up. I find that having a savings buffer actually gives me a lot more freedom to say no to jobs that I don't want and hold out knowing that I have enough money to be covered. Now, the next thing you want to do is put 20% of each paycheck that you received into a pot for your tax. Now, this of course varies depending on your tax bracket. You may only be paying 20%, but if you're a high earner, it could be a lot more than that. Because you'll also deduct some business expenses from your taxable salary, I usually put around 20% aside in a separate bank account for tax, knowing that I'm not going to be taxed on the whole amount I receive each month because of the business deductions I'm going to make. The best way forward is to check with your accountant and on your last tax returns to get an idea of what these business expenses are. The next 20% of every paycheck I put into a pot for everyday spending, like transport, eating out, clothes, or whatever else it is that you need. The very last remaining 10% is for you to invest. Now, this can be putting into investment account or your personal pension. Now, 10% is the minimum amount, and it obviously depends on how much money you earn, but this is the minimum that I would put in out of every paycheck. This is really different from savings because it's more of a long-term view. It's not something that you're going to touch in case of an emergency. It's something that you're going to leave for your future. So putting that 10% into, for example, an index fund that has 7% returns over time, in the next 20 to 30 years, or by the time you reach retirement age, having that habit of saving 10% in investments from every single paycheck is going to add up with compounding into hundreds of thousands over time. So to keep all of these percentages for your paychecks as simple as possible, I really recommend using a banking app that you can do all of these things in one place. One app that I really like is Plum. I'm going to link it in the description box. I really like it because you can do all your savings and investments in the same app, as well as get a really clear snapshot of all of your accounts, from your credit cards to your bank accounts, in one place for you to easily see. So what it will do is link all of your different accounts, put them into one place, and then it's going to tell you how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, and give you a snapshot of everything together. So let's do a little recap. From every single money receipt that you get from your freelance income, you're going to be putting 40% into your non-negotiables, rent, bills, and food. You're going to be putting 10% into savings, 20% into a tax account, 20% into your general spending account, and another 10% to invest. This freelance payday routine gives you the best of both worlds. You don't need a fixed paycheck to feel financially stable. Your rent and bills are always covered first, and you can still save and invest consistently even when your income varies. This method is about building a system that works for you now, as well as setting you up for a financially stable future. So that is my freelancer payday routine. It's simple, realistic, and built around how I actually manage my money. If you found this helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button and tell me in the comments, what is your biggest freelance money challenge right now? And has this video helped you decide how you're going to manage your money as a freelancer? Thanks so much for watching. This is Get On Top with Dahlia. I am going to be dropping new videos every week on personal finance, business, investing, and property. If that sounds good to you, please hit the subscribe button and I'll see you next week. Ciao for now.